Hi, I am Wilhelm, and in today's video in the series Life Explained, I invite you to take a different look at crises, problems and difficulties that we all face throughout our life. The way we usually look at such a situation is marvelously portrayed in the story of Jack and the Beanstalk. You remember Jack lives with his mom and their only source of income is their cow. And when the cow stops giving milk, Jack's mom sends him to the market to sell the cow. When Jack returns home, he gives his mom some beans instead of money. Now, the mother is furious. She flips, she goes ballistic. Beans is not what she had expected. We would probably have reacted very similar in her situation. She could not perceive that these beans were actually their ticket to riches. Now, we all have had situations where things didn't turn out the way as we had expected. And I invite you now to take a different look at what actually takes place in such a situation. Just like Jack's mom, we all have very specific ideas of how our life should be. That's us. Very funny. Okay. Now, these assumptions or opinions are all programs that we have accumulated from our environment. There are customs, rules and beliefs and we have collected them over the years, and they really come from us, but mostly from our parents. They come from our families, from our religious institutions, from teachers and other sources like Oprah Winfrey and so on. Now, these opinions tell us what schools we should visit, what college we should attend, when and whom we should marry, what jobs we should have, and thousands other things of how our life should be. We usually believe these stories without ever questioning them. These stories are expectations that we have accepted for ourselves, even if they are not made by ourselves. Now, other expectations are that we should always be happy, healthy and fully employed, and always have money and live a long life, and so on and so on and so on. And of course, these are all illusions, because there are no guarantees that this will actually come true, nor that they are actually right for us. So over the years, we have developed this big bubble of how our life should be. I call this bubble our fantasy bubble. Okay, this is our fantasy bubble. We are of course very, very attached to this bubble. Yeah, very happy with it. Yes, we don't let go of that one. But now watch what happens. Here is another big bubble. And I call this bubble reality. Reality. And this one doesn't care two hoots about our fantasy bubble. It has its own agenda, which is basically to teach us love. Or we can also call this a reality God or love, because that is what reality is in truth. But now watch what happens when reality clashes with our fantasy bubble. These two cannot coexist in the same space. There is a struggle going on now. And we are usually not willing to accept reality and desperately cling to our fantasy, our illusions, our opinions, our beliefs and expectations. And our strong resistance to reality now creates emotions. This is what the emotions are. It's like anger, like fear, hate, rejection, etc. It's just like a car crashing into another car, and the noise of that car crash are the emotions. And for as long as we refuse to accept reality, so long will we be in an emotional turmoil. It can be a very fierce battle. We may even try everything to make the fantasy win. For instance, we can fight reality. Now we can get depressed, and once we realize that all our manipulations have failed. Or we can take legal or illegal drugs to suppress our emotions. We can also find a new false identity, like telling the world that we are a victim and that the whole world feels sorry for us. Our ego is a master at that game, the poor me game. But in the end, nothing will succeed, because reality always wins, because nothing is stronger than God. Nothing is stronger than love. It may sound strange, but nevertheless, it is true. Nothing ever happens to us, everything happens for us. Reality is always on our side, even if we seldom think so, when reality shows itself as a crisis, an illness, a loss of a loved one, job or money. These sometimes very severe challenges seem cruel and heartless, but they are not. They push us to the next level of our growth. They help us remember who we truly are. Life will only give us whatever experience is most helpful for the development of our consciousness. Now, many of us know this truth in retrospect. Once we have gone through a seemingly difficult and negative experience, we realize that we have grown from it and are no longer in the same old state of consciousness. Einstein said that he found peace and happiness by knowing that he lived in a friendly universe. A friendly universe. And the Jewish Dutch philosopher Spinoza said, perfection is another name for reality. And when we finally fully surrender to reality that has now replaced part of our illusions and our fantasy, all our emotions will subside. The Greek philosopher Epictetus said it so well, demand not that things happen as you wish, but wish them to happen as they do, and you will go on well. It's a very different way of looking at life, isn't it? Surrender to reality makes us truly present. We are in the present moment and not in our fantasies. And when we are no longer using up all our energy by clinging to our illusions, we can then use our strengths and focus on a solution. For instance, once we have accepted an illness, we can then concentrate on finding the right medical treatment. And once we have accepted that we have lost a job, we can then use our energy to find a new employment. This applies to everything. Surrender does not mean giving up. Surrender to reality means that we are now ready and open to all the new possibilities that reality contains and wants to show us. But even better than surrender is fully embracing or even loving that new reality, the new challenge, and trying to see the positive in it, finding the message it has for us. For anyone who finds this process too difficult, I suggest to look at the website of Byron Katie. Katie has developed a very simple and highly effective technique to fully embrace and even love reality. On her websites are many videos and free worksheets. Katie and I created also a book for children in which her technique is explained in a simple and fun way. It's called Tiger, Tiger, Is It True? How would we feel if we remember next time we are faced with a challenge to ask ourselves the following question? How would I act if I fully understood that the challenge that I'm going through right now is the most helpful and perfect for the evolution of my consciousness and spiritual path? I will leave you with that question and hope to see you again soon.